Hi, this is David. Welcome to the next chapter in John Gregory's text, the CVA Challenge. And we are now at chapter 14, which is called Credit and Debt Value Adjustment. And this chapter is especially significant because in some ways it's at the heart of the John Gregory book and continues an important theme from his prior editions, because we're now getting to what is the CVA, so that you can see that's credit value adjustment. And so this is CVA, and this is the pricing of counterparty credit risk. After all, counterparty credit risk, John Gregory, is the primary assignment in topic 6, credit risk, for counterparty credit risk, which is has a lot of qualitative descriptions, a lot of technical discussion around collateral and netting. However, CVA, the credit value adjustment, is the quantification, the pricing of counterparty credit risk specifically. So it's especially significant. And we do know that, for example, just to be practical for a moment, GARP has asked about it on previous exams. We know from feedback. And in the recent practice question papers that GARP has provided, there are examples of CVA. So we know that it's a highly testable topic. And in terms of the learning objectives, the density here is high, somewhat over-assigned, and just due to the density and the fact that I want to keep the video to under an hour, we're not going to go through all of the learning objectives, but rather just the more important ones. So that we're not going to go. I'm not going to go specifically into motivation and challenges of pricing counterparty risk, or describing the credit value adjustment, because that will be implicit in the third learning objective that we will look at, which is calculate CVA and the CVA spread. And then we have, well, I won't go into detail on evaluate the impact of changes in the credit spread and recovery rate assumptions on CVA, or explain how netting can be incorporated in the CVA calculation. But we will look at define and calculate the incremental CVA and the marginal CVA. And so these terms are significant. And I know that we're earlier than topic 8, but just want to sensitize us to the analogy here. In topic 8, investment risk, right? There is incremental value at risk and marginal value at risk. And so those are analogous, right? Incremental CVA, analogous to incremental value at risk. Marginal CVA, incremental to marginal value at risk. Just wanted to make that connection because most of what you have to know for the exam is handled by way of that analogy. I'm not going to go into explain the impact of incorporating collateralization into the CVA calculation, but we will look at the end, describe the debt value adjustment and bilateral CVA. So we start with CVA, which by itself is a unilateral pricing of counterparty credit risk, and then we just introduce the debt value adjustment that completes the CVA in a way and makes it bilateral CVA. So we could think of the regular CVA as a special case of the bilateral CVA, where we're ignoring ourselves as the institution, and then we'll just look at the spread at the end. In the end of this video, I have the specific practice question, GARP's question 76. So that's near the end of their sample paper part 2 from last year, 2017. That summarizes all of this really in a very detailed, quite detailed calculation of CVA. So that's where we'll end up. We'll end up with running through an example of the calculation of CVA, and really, if we understand that calculation, we necessarily need to understand most of the concepts that go into this chapter. Okay, so these are the concepts we're going to cover in this chapter.